5 pool products that I as a pediatrician would not recommend, answering some of your questions. If you haven't seen the original video, go back and take a look. It's a video where I talk about the 5 pool products that I would never recommend as a pediatrician, that I would not use for my kids, and now I'm going to be answering some of the most common questions. So one of the products that I talked about was the puddle jumper, and everybody loves the puddle jumper, so there were a lot of questions about this. Number one, there were questions about there are puddle jumpers that are Coast Guard approved, so why are these not okay to use? So it is true, there are puddle jumpers that are Coast Guard approved, and it's not that these floating devices are not good products. They do keep your children up in the water. They're unlikely to rip or come off or slide off like some of the other products that I talked about, like the arm floaties or the neck floaty. So it's not that the puddle jumper itself is a bad floating device. The main issue with it is that it puts your kids in a vertical position. So if you ever look at your kids in the puddle jumper, it always kind of maintains them in this vertical position, which is considered the drowning position. It doesn't put them in that swimming position, which is horizontal, right? So your kids get used to being in this position. It makes it a lot harder for them to learn how to swim. If you take a look at some of the comments on that video that I made, a lot of swim instructors on there will mention that they know which kids have been using puddle jumpers because it makes it harder for them to teach them how to swim. The other main problem with this is that if your child ever was to fall in the pool or jump in the pool without their puddle jumper on, not realizing that they don't know how to swim without it, they would automatically put themselves into that vertical position, which again is the drowning position. So it's not helpful for that reason. Remember that a lot of our younger kids, 2-3 years old, who are using these puddle jumpers consistently may not realize that it's the puddle jumper that is actually allowing them to stay afloat. They may get this false sense of security, which can cause them to then jump in the pool thinking that they know how to swim, and it takes just a matter of seconds for a tragedy to occur. So for all these reasons, that's why the puddle jumper is not recommended. So if this is something that you plan to use on a rare occasion, if you're on vacation, if you happen to be on a boat and you want to use a Coast Guard approved puddle jumper, that's fine. It just shouldn't be something that you use consistently with your kids in the pool, because you don't want them to develop that false sense of security. As a parent, you don't want to develop that false sense of security in that puddle jumper. And so really the best option is to do touch supervision, to be one-on-one with a child without any floating device, holding onto your child at all times, and getting them swim lessons if possible is always a great option. So I hope that answers some of your questions about the puddle jumper. I'm planning to do a couple more videos addressing some of the other common questions that I got about some of the other products that I talked about in my previous video.